All right, folks. It's Wednesday, February 11th. And as we get going here, let me start by saying happy birthday, Trevor Watson, turning 60 today. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope everything is just perfect for you, I guess. No better way to say that. So happy birthday, Trevor. Another thing I kind of want to talk about for a moment here is it's 9 a.m. where I am. I've been up for 6 hours. My stupid brain decided at 3 a.m. to wake up and could not go back to sleep. So to say I'm kind of off my game a little bit today, I think would be an understatement. I'm in a very bad mood. I'm exhausted, just not good today. And of course, the news today certainly not pleasant at all. But yeah, just I am struggling right now tremendously. So bear with me today in case if I start getting a little weird or I seem a little, if I start sounding like Trump, y'all just let me know and maybe we'll just have to cut it off a little early today. And unfortunately, this is a day where we have tons and tons and tons of stories that we really do need to discuss because there is so much going on. Pam Bondi, obviously, about to testify in front of Congress. That'll be super fun. I'm not watching that, obviously, but somebody says start getting a little weird. One of the best qualities I like about you. Oh no. Am I weird? Do I do weird things? I know at the end of yesterday's stream got a little weird, but yeah. Look, let's jump right in. Obviously, with Pam Bondi testifying, she'll be talking about Epstein style stuff, but let's talk about something else from the Epstein files. In the recent Epstein file drop, that of course now almost 2 weeks ago, where we got the additional heavily redacted documents. Then, of course, yesterday we end up getting Ro Khanna reading off the names of 6 individuals, one of whom you may have heard of, the other 5 nobody probably has ever heard of. So they weren't necessarily consequential names. So I'm a little disappointed with that. But I am proud that they read some of the names. Obviously, in Tuesday's stream, I suggested, why don't you just do that if you can do that? And then they did it. So that was kind of nice. But one of the biggest things from the most recent Epstein file drop is that a police chief by the name of Michael Reiter, appears to admit that Donald Trump admitted to what is in the state of Florida a 3rd-degree felony. And it all goes back to Epstein's first arrest. When Donald Trump, again, this is according to a police chief in the state of Florida, when Jeffrey Epstein was first being investigated, and they started to uncover all this evidence and they got it, Trump allegedly called this police officer, according to the statement that he gave in 2019. And the police officer said that Trump told him, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." Everyone has known he's been doing this. In Florida, failure to report a suspected crime against a minor is a 3rd-degree felony. So if Trump made that phone call to that police chief, Michael Reiter, as Reiter claims did happen, that's Trump admitting that, yeah, man, I knew this guy was doing, hell, everybody knew this guy was doing it. So glad y'all took him down. Great. If you knew and you did not report, that's a felony. And for the record, you do not have to be a mandatory reporter. That is a different set of circumstances. A mandatory reporter in the state of Florida, because that's the only one whose laws I know about mandatory reporters. That is if you suspect any form of child abuse, including up to psychological abuse, doctors, teachers, folks like that, mandatory reporters, you are required to report it. You don't have to have hard evidence if you suspect it at all. On the other hand, actual crimes being committed against a child, effectively everybody becomes a mandatory reporter at that point. So if Trump made that phone call, if he said what he said, that is an admission of a third-degree felony here in the state of Florida. And the real funny part about this is that on Tuesday, Caroline Leavitt actually used that statement, basically admitting that Trump says, yes, this is what happened, and said, see, this is proof that Trump wasn't friends with Epstein. This is proof that he was the good guy because he was excited they were taking him down. Oh, and for the record, he also told the cop, why don't you go after Ghislaine Maxwell too, because she's truly evil. So Caroline Leavitt, appears to corroborate the story. And of course, she speaks for Trump. So my question is, where's that indictment? He knew, by his White House's own admission, what Epstein was doing. He never called the cops. That is probably what we need to be focusing on with regard to these stories. He was not, of course, an undercover informant for the FBI on Jeffrey Epstein. That didn't happen. If it were the case, he wouldn't have called up a police chief and said, hey, I'm so glad you're taking this guy down. No, he would have known that that was happening because he would have been a part of it. Their entire narrative has fallen apart, and now they're almost boasting like, yeah, Trump made this call. It was great. Over in the UK, the king is calling for investigations that could result in his own brother going to prison. They're not playing around. They're actually doing what we here in the United States should have done years and years and years and years ago, but didn't, and we're still not. Even as we get these names of individuals, what's going to happen to them? Will we prosecute? Or will we just shake the fist and say, gosh, darn you bad people. All right, let's move along. But Trump is one of those people. Whether or not he partook in the, activities with these women, that's obviously the documents do suggest. Some of them do suggest that he did, but we cannot necessarily confirm whether or not he did personally. But the admission that I knew what he was doing, everybody knew what he was doing, and none of them reported it. None of them. Now, we don't know who the other everybody is. Maybe it was just Trump. Obviously, he loves to say things like, lots of people say blah, blah, blah. So maybe it was just him. Maybe it was him and others. I refuse to believe the others didn't also know what was happening. Either way, happening in Florida, third-degree felony. Where are the damn charges? I saw a super chat go through here. V-Man says, saw they're investigating Bad Bunny lyrics. I'll translate Cafe Con Ron as coffee in the morning, rum in the afternoon. We're already out in the streets. Come to your balcony. Hey, GOP, what's so bad about coffee and rum? Yeah, I had a segment actually already go up about that this morning. It's absolutely ridiculous that they're investigating lyrics because, as Republican Senator Mark Alford said, I don't speak Spanish. I don't know what he said. Like, just copy and paste it into Google Translate, man. Like, you're talking 30 seconds and you get your answer. You don't need to waste our tax dollars just because you got offended because you heard words that weren't spoken in English. You fucking redneck. I'm in a bad mood today. As I said this morning, or to begin the stream. So I'm not going to be nice to any of these Republicans. I'm hoping I don't go a little over the top with any of it either, but man, I really, yeah, just one of those days. Everything is pissing me off. The news is pissing me off. These damn Republicans are pissing me off. The lack of accountability is pissing me off. And sometimes I'm going to attribute most of this obviously to the fact that I have been up for over 6 hours. But sometimes you just get a day where all of it does get to you. And today is one of those days for me. Going through and doing all my research and reading before this stream here just pisses me off. I mean, yeah, I've got a positive story to talk about today, one good one, but the rest of it is so horrifying that it almost negates any good feeling you can get from the one positive thing I get to say today. And so this is a day. It doesn't have me beat down; it just has me pissed off. Like I'm ready to fight someone, anyone, like physically, not verbally either. I don't want to talk. I want to, throw some punches here to whoever is willing to throw some punches my way. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about everything at the moment. And so, yeah, let's move along, because here's another thing to be pissed off about. We learned yesterday, Tuesday, we learned that Jeanine Pirro, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, at the guidance, of course, of Donald Trump's Department of Justice, had attempted to get 6 Democratic lawmakers indicted by a grand jury. Luckily, the grand jury did not return indictments against any of those 6 Democrats. And as I'm sure everybody is aware by now, she was trying to indict them over their message to U.S. military service members, telling them that they have a duty to not obey unlawful orders, which, as I've repeatedly said, is actually a part of the military handbook for the different branches. You don't have to do something if it is illegal. And that's all these Democratic lawmakers were reminding our service members of. You took an oath to a constitution. You're protecting a country, not an individual. You are not his personal mercenaries. And this administration, very quietly, very secretly, was actively trying to get them indicted for sedition. Now, we knew that this administration had openly talked about punishing these lawmakers. They had openly talked about wanting, possibly, maybe we'll prosecute them for this. But the establishment of this grand jury, the grand jury proceedings that were taking place, all of that was done in secret. So we were left in the dark as this administration attempted to indict 6 sitting lawmakers because they said something that they didn't like, something that, if said, is not illegal in any way. It is not sedition. These Democrats did not tell our servicemen and women that you guys need to revolt and turn your firearms against the government of the United States. That didn't happen. Nothing even close to that. And if this happened, 2 lawmakers behind closed doors, what else is happening? Because it's never just what we know. It's what do we not know? The things that come forward typically, usually with any administration, to be honest, we barely get to scratch the surface. We barely get to understand what is actually taking place. And typically it's far worse than what we know publicly. It's not like we're going to find out that what they're doing behind closed doors is planning a big old birthday party for all of us, right? They're not planning on a massive, we were going to send you your stimulus checks, but we wanted it to be a surprise. It's never anything good. going on behind closed doors. But that's what's happening. This administration that loves to go out there and tell us all the time, we're the most transparent ever. You have weaponized the Department of Justice in ways that this country hasn't seen, including under the Nixon era. But thank God you put the most incompetent human beings on planet Earth in charge of it. Otherwise, we would already be an authoritarian dictatorship with camps for all of us to be in. But because the dumbest people on the planet are running things, we get to live to fight another day. A lot of super chats came through here. First one says, Hunter Williams, good news. Trump got rejected by House GOP on tariffs. Juan Peralta, super chat. Thank you very much for that. Hunter Williams, I hadn't seen the House GOP reject the tariffs, so I will have to look into that after this. What else do we have here? Jedi Protector says, I do not like how people say the official language of the U.S. is English, even though there isn't an official language. Also, cancel the Second Amendment. Zinthowin says, speaking of Bad Bunny, really? Even if someone doesn't understand the lyrics, there are plenty of English songs English speakers don't pay attention to the words. When it comes to music, just enjoy the beat and tune. MAGA equals dumb. Couldn't have said that better myself. Scorpius says, the grand jury has failed to indict a lot of ham sandwiches lately under this administration. And again, that does go back to they are so incompetent that they keep failing. They're tripping over their own incompetence. And that is the only thing, as I have said for the last year, that is keeping our country limping along. We would have lost this country a long time ago if Trump had put anyone with a brain in any position in this administration. So thankfully, he picks the worst people ever. V-Man says, hey, Farron, did you see the political party breakdown of both teams in the Super Bowl? Apparently, the Seahawks, 40% Dem, 10% GOP, 50% independent. The more woke team won the Super Bowl, LOL. I had not seen those stats. I was hoping for the Seahawks to win just because he retired a few years ago. Doug Baldwin, former wide receiver for the Seahawks, he went to my high school. Not at the same time as me. I'm a little bit older than him. But yeah, we're from the same hometown, went to the same schools growing up. My sister actually taught him while he was in high school. So even though I'm not a, diehard Seahawks guy, if they make it to the Super Bowl, I'm probably going to go for them just due to the hometown tie that used to be there, even though it's not there anymore. So that's always fun. Michael Bailey says, I'm from the UK. No backsies. You got him. Please keep him. Also, maybe something for tomorrow. El Paso airspace closed for 10 days at the moment. Nothing flying, not even medical. I did see just a bit ago, maybe an hour or so, they've reopened that airspace now with still no explanation as to why it was closed. But it is now reopened. And unfortunately, that is one of those things. It's like, we don't know. So even if I were to do a segment on it, it's going to be me repeatedly saying, we don't know. And I'm not a huge fan of doing that. And I don't like to sit here and speculate about why something could have happened or whatever. I don't want to launch any conspiracy theories. But, we will see. Follow up with however many far-right creators who have wanted to be filmmakers and failed, turned commentators. I wonder why they didn't just improve. A lot of them just don't seem to understand art. There's a lot of failures on the right. I mean, not just in the administration, just so much incompetence, too much incompetence to go around. So yeah, I don't know. They could learn, they could try to get better at things, but they want that easy, quick money. And it's a lot easier to just give up on your dreams and chase the money than it is to actually learn how to be good at something. But they're good at grifting. So, I guess that's their natural calling, is separating stupid people from their money, much like Donald Trump. Most watched halftime show ever. And it's funny because I actually saw an article yesterday I forget where, obviously it was a conservative news site that actually said it was like one of the lowest viewed. And it wasn't. Like all the articles are out today. It was the second highest rated Super Bowl ever, the highest rated halftime show ever, which means people who weren't even watching the game as soon as it went to halftime tuned in to see Bad Bunny. He had better ratings than the game itself, and conservatives are tripping over themselves to lie to their base to tell them that no, nobody was watching. We don't even know who Bugs Bunny is, like whatever it is they're saying. So yeah, they are absolutely pathetically lying about what happened. And by the way, I guarantee you, all those conservatives who were like, "I'm going to watch the TP USA one," they didn't. They watched Bad Bunny because they wanted to be pissed off about something, and that's probably why the ratings for that went even higher, because those conservatives were tuning in just to see how they're going to be pissed off. And of course, they didn't want to watch Kid Rock badly lip sync in such a humiliating fashion that he has now had to put out videos explaining, like, "What? I wasn't lip syncing. The audio was not synced up with the video. I was really singing, and I don't know what happened. Oh, I'm so sad." Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely ridiculous. I am feeling a little better now, folks. I appreciate that. However, there's also more horrible things to talk about with ICE in Minneapolis. According to new reports based on conversations and, of course, the experiences of these groups of what they're calling themselves commuters in Minneapolis and throughout Minnesota, ICE is beginning to abduct them. Now, these are basically legal observers. They're people who are in their vehicles. They're not in any way impeding ICE, but they are following them to basically keep tabs on them, to film them in many instances, to make sure that they're not killing people or otherwise breaking the law. And for the record, following these individuals is not illegal. You're allowed to be in the public spaces where these ICE agents are operating. If they don't have their police line, do not cross bullcrap up there, you can be in your car. You can be on the street, just like they can. So they have no right to tell you you can't be here. If they are conducting any kind of actual police work, they can order you to back up, back off, whatever. But following them, not illegal. But these terrifying new reports from these groups of commuters, these observers themselves, 4 of them have been disappeared by ICE, taken from their vehicles with no contact to any of the other folks. Let me read you this. This is from The Intercept. On Friday, legal observers on an encrypted group call in Minneapolis received a desperate plea. A fellow observer was following federal agents who just loaded her friend into an unmarked vehicle. Now she herself was boxed in. "Please help," the woman said again and again, her voice rising to a scream. Then her pleas stopped. By the time support arrived, the observer was gone. All that remained was an empty SUV, engine running, abandoned in the middle of the city's snow-lined streets. Referred to locally as abductions, it was at least the 4th such disappearance of the day. The 3rd in a span of less than 30 minutes. ICE is abducting Americans. ICE does not necessarily have authority over average, everyday people. Now, if that person is, of course, actively impeding any official duty of those ICE agents, then yes, they would have the ability to detain, potentially arrest them, but then they would have to be turned over, of course, to the local police. So ICE doesn't even have the authority to say, you're following me, I don't like it, I'm going to take you in. Now, a local cop probably could do that, but a local cop would also allow you the opportunity to contact a lawyer. They would read you your rights. These people are just being disappeared. I mean, disappeared. American citizens being disappeared on American streets by Donald Trump's brown shirts. This is America today. This is what's happening. 4 people in one day because ICE doesn't want people to see what they're doing. If this doesn't terrify you, then apparently nothing will. These people have not broken any laws. They were not impeding any investigations. They were not in any way disturbing what ICE was doing. They're just trying to document it, which is perfectly legal. But what's happening in Minnesota is not over. You know, Tom Homan, who is now in charge of it, announced, I'm taking away 700 agents. Cool, you're still leaving several thousand there. And this is what is still happening. Just unbelievable. It's just made to terrorize people. Question here, how is this legal? How are they not being arrested? Because these are Trump's people. This administration is protecting them, just like they're protecting all of the people who should be investigated for the killings in our streets. They canceled those investigations before they even started. They are protecting them, which, honest to God, makes no sense due to the fact that ICE has an approval rating somehow even worse than Donald Trump. Like, this is causing this administration harm, but they're so deeply racist that they can't stop themselves. Like, we know this is hurting us. We know it's going to cost us big time, but brown people are still there and we got to do it. Oh, that's what's happening. They may not want to admit that, but that is the thought process. They hate non-white people more than they hate being hated. That's how deep the racism runs throughout this entire administration, because that is what is at the heart of all of this. Let's move on, because that's not the only horrible thing that ICE has done. According to a recent report, there is a tiny pro-Trump town in Idaho called Wilder. Wilder has a population of a little over 1,700 people. And those 1,700 people in the 2024 election, 91% of them voted for Donald Trump. It's a farming community. Farming is basically the only thing keeping that community afloat, which is why back in October, when ICE came in and arrested 90 migrant farm workers, this tiny pro-Trump town was basically destroyed. They're coming up on harvest season. And now these farmers who voted again, 91% for Donald Trump, are terrified because Trump took all our workers. We don't know what we're going to do. One of them said this: we rely on Hispanic labor. Nobody thought something like this could happen here. That is his exact quote. Nobody thought something like this could happen here. My God, you may as well have just said, I never thought leopards would eat my face. I thought they would just eat everybody else's. My heart breaks for what has happened to the Hispanic population there. The horrible part of me laughs at the pain these fucking Trump-supporting farmers are going through. I no longer have sympathy. I no longer have empathy. I have pure, unfettered joy watching your life go down the toilet because of the choices you made, because you wanted to inflict harm on everybody else without ever stopping to think that maybe it would happen to me. No, you literally say, I didn't think it would happen to me. Yeah, I knew other people were going to get screwed, and I'm totally cool with that. So piss off. I hope your farm goes under. I hope your crops rot in the field. Because that's what you voted for. And you're getting it. You haven't expressed any remorse. These people aren't coming out and saying, we made a horrible mistake and I'll never do it again. They're sitting there telling us that, man, yeah, I thought everybody else was going to get screwed, but now that I'm getting screwed, I don't feel so good. When you vote to harm other people, and that is why you vote that way, then I'm glad when you get your comeuppance. I'm glad when the things you voted to do to other people happen to you. I wish upon you what you wish upon others. And it's what's happening in that tiny town of Wilder, Idaho. They always forget about the golden rule, says the Beetle Project. Problem is, if the farmers have no workers, we end up with a food shortage. So we get the consequences along with them. And that is something that, of course, I have pointed out in every single segment I have done on the farmers. I have said that so many times, I've lost track so many times. I'm honestly kind of tired of saying it. And it does suck because, yeah, we get screwed too. We get screwed because stupid people make stupid choices because they want other people to suffer. It's not fair for us. But my sympathy towards these people now whining that they ruined their own lives because they were only trying to ruin other people's lives doesn't exist anymore. Super chat here says, town voted to Trump and then they lost all their workers. Oh no. Anyway, referencing the Clarkson meme. Gargoyle Dragon says, what I want the next admin to do is have ICE stand outside of conservative spaces or just in some field somewhere and not do anything but stand there for hours. Instead of power, they get nothing. That's not a bad idea. You know what, though? You got a bunch of farmers that need some workers. Maybe ICE can go do that, right? You guys need folks to go pick your crops. We're going to end up with a lot of ICE officers that have nothing to do because you guys lied from day one about how bad the immigration situation actually was in this country. So make them go do it, right? You're the ones who took the workers anyway. You guys get to go out there and replace them. I tell you what, makes you feel any better. Pull out your firearm, shoot a few rounds into the dirt too. You know, that way you still get to shoot something. Schadenfreude for the party of personal responsibility is a hell of a drug, says Fergie. I agree, and I like that. That's quickly becoming my favorite thing in the world. Zinthoan says, I found a post of an article, the Battle of... sorry, there's something on my screen. It makes me not be able to read that. I found a post of an article, The Battle of Deputies Run, talking about in Minneapolis, May 1934, bankers bought badges to beat workers only to be met by 600 workers who fought back. Wow. History. Recently, and I've seen this clip going around a lot on Instagram, and I actually reposted it on my Instagram. It's a clip from A Bug's Life. And it's where the villain Grasshopper, named Hopper, clever name there. He's talking to the other grasshoppers and he's like, those ants outnumber us 100 to 1. You know, basically, like if one stands up to us, the rest will too. And then we're screwed because there's only like this many of us and there's this many of them. So we can't let them stand up to us. If you haven't, rewatched that scene, again, it's like all over Reels, a lot of people reposting it. Please do. And please take that message, not as being the grasshopper, but the ant. And then, of course, the end of the movie, not to spoil it for anybody if you haven't seen this more than 20-year-old flick, um, the ants realize they have the power because they have the numbers. It's actually a pretty good movie with a very good message that I think most Americans need to hear today. That's I think required viewing. Go watch A Bug's Life again, and you'll really, get a little perspective and maybe even feel a little bit empowered, which is something we could all use right about now. As bad as everything I have talked about so far today has been, it's been angering, it's been depressing. This is the worst one. This story I'm about to tell you right now, this can be a tough one to get through. According to the boyfriend of a young woman who was killed in the state of Texas last January 2025, she was killed by her father after an argument about Donald Trump. The reason we're just now getting this information more than a year after this happened is because the young woman that was killed was British. Her father lived in Texas. Her boyfriend was with her when they went to go visit for the holidays. But Texas authorities did a quick investigation. They only were investigating it as manslaughter, not murder. And afterwards, they were like, yeah, he accidentally shot his daughter. But because she was a UK citizen, the UK decided, you know what, we're going to do a little bit of an investigation here. And they held an inquest in Britain this week. And during the inquest, the boyfriend, Sam Littler, told them that the daughter and the dad were having an argument about Donald Trump. In fact, Littler told the inquest that Lucy Harrison had asked her father on the day of the argument, how would you feel if I was the girl in that situation and I had been sexually assaulted? Chris Harrison had replied that he had 2 other daughters who lived with him, so it would not upset him that much. Lucy Harrison ran upstairs because her father's remark made her quite upset, Littler said. Littler recalled hearing a loud bang after his partner ran upstairs. I remember running into the room and Lucy was lying on the floor near the entrance to the bathroom, and Chris, the father, was just screaming just sort of nonsense. Chris, the father, told the cops, like, yeah, I was just showing her the gun and it went off and it accidentally killed her. So the Texas cops said, oh, happens all the time here in Texas, buddy. Don't you worry about it. You have a good day, man. All right, I'll see you later. Sorry about your kid. And the boyfriend basically had to go to a different country to get somebody to listen to what actually happened. They had an argument about Trump, and moments later, she was shot by the pro-Trump guy, her father. And Texas says, nah, he's good to go. Not even going to charge you with manslaughter, buddy. I don't even know. I don't even know what else to say about this. This is shocking. This is disturbing. And to quote Childish Gambino, this is America. So, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad I just saw this comment, because when I wanted to do this story, this was something that popped into my head and I meant to say it. But this comment from Redog129 says that literally was Trump derangement syndrome. Yes, it is. Trump derangement syndrome is in fact very real. Not suffered, of course, by anybody on the left. Trump himself suffers from it. All the MAGA supporters out there suffer from it. The people willing to murder someone because they had the audacity to criticize Donald Trump, that's Trump derangement syndrome. These people need professional medical help. And when I say medical help, I am talking about psychologists, psychiatrists, pharmaceuticals, if necessary. And of course, some of them, in my opinion, definitely deserve a very, very, very long stint, potentially forever, in prison. It is disturbing to me that this individual who shot his daughter, according to the boyfriend, intentionally, is a free man walking around this country. That's actually terrifying to think that this guy is out there. Not locked up. Nobody took his guns away. Still out there anywhere. We don't know what he looks like or anything. So, yeah, that's a fun thought to have forever. Super chat from Marcus Lindler says, and how does the family react to this? This is more reason for a divorce, unless the mother is a, Trump supporter. Somebody here says, believe he had already left her mother, and I think her stepmother left him after. Well, good. I hope that is what happened. So, apologies. It's getting a little warm in here. We're back up into the 70s in this part of Florida with like 100% humidity. It is just, there's another reason I'm just in such a bad mood today, is you walk outside and everything is damp, and it has been for days. I'm just sick of the damp crap, the moisture in the air. It friggin' sucks, man. Just really cannot stand it. Somebody said, you just made that story up. No, it's actually from the BBC, buddy. Why don't you go read that? Why don't you go read something? Don't fuck with me today. Like, really don't. And for the record, every single story that I do is sourced. It's a little more difficult to do in the live stream, but when we cut up the segments and post those, we do put the link in the description. The link to every story that I do is in the description of every video we post. So if anybody wants to be like, this is totally made up, you can find the sources yourself. Okay? They're right there. We don't hide them. We provide links, we provide evidence, we provide all of the things that you need to educate yourself. You may not like my take on a story. Hell, even the people who agree with me might not always like the things I say about a story, which is totally fine. But facts are facts. So if you don't like the way I present it, go read it for yourself. But it doesn't change the facts of the story. So yeah, that's what we've got here. Somebody says BBC never lies. 3 laugh crying emojis. This was, Jesus Christ, this was part of an inquest in Britain. That's actually why they reported on it. This was the testimony given by the boyfriend. You're arguing reality because you're suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. And I could sit here and try to, argue any kind of facts and logic with you, but you don't care. You want to live in your alternative reality. You want to pretend that everything you think is right, everything the people you disagree with think is wrong. You're smart. We're dumb. You're a truth teller. We're all liars. You're cool. We're not. You're funny. We're lame. Whatever it is. Mommy didn't hug you enough. Maybe daddy hugged you a little too much. I don't know what happened to you growing up to make you into the horrible piece of human shit that you are today. But that's something you got to work out. Don't come into our chat here and make it everybody else's problem. You go deal with your psychological issues on your own. Go seek therapy. Go seek counseling. Go do something to actually contribute to a better world. So, piss off. Um, Super chat here says, why is the El Paso FAA closed? Any news yet? The only news I've seen this morning is that they did reopen it. Not sure. Again, that was like the one thing I did see. So I don't know if that report is official or if it's just people reporting that it's opened and then the news outlet running with it. So I can't say. I don't know. Vargas Pureblood, thank you very much. Massive super chat there, says, we also had crazy fog in this part of Florida. Hope you feel better. Get yourself a good lunch on me. Thank you so much for that. Again, I appreciate it. But yeah, the fog, the moisture, all this crap is really just so gross. And it annoys me too, because obviously I let the dogs outside, and when the dogs go outside, the puppies, they like to dig because there's a little area where they can. So the moisture makes the ground wet. So they get all muddy. So I can't let them into the main part of the house. So they have to stay in like the patio area. And it's unfair to them, but I can't have them get mud all over the couch, the carpets, the couch, everything. So it's annoying. It kind of ruins the day. We should be able to agree to disagree, says Hunter Williams. And I agree. I absolutely agree. And again, you guys don't agree with me on everything. I don't want you to, honestly. Like, if you're the kind of person that agrees with everything 100% I say, no, that's probably not good. We should have disagreements. Now, they don't have to be angry like you're a piece of, crap because you don't think the same things I do 100% of the time, because unfortunately we do see a lot of that on the left. But yeah, let's disagree. Nate Bridges says, what is the point of killing your kid over a stranger? Derangement, mental issues. That's what it is. The orange turd is all over the files. They are the ones left. Just like how his ear healed. It's all lies. That is weird about the ear. That is weird. I mean, we don't have a lot of answers about that, and we kind of need answers. I figured out how to super chat now, finally. I love your work. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Always appreciate the super chats. Always appreciate the, most of the comments in the comments, except when we get the idiots in here who have nothing better to do with their life. But we also got to move on. And I don't know. Honestly, I'm kind of looking at this next story. I don't even know if I want to do it. This is kind of one of those days. Is this one even worth talking about today? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's important. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely important. The question is, do I have the proper mindset to really go through with this story? Because it has big implications. No, you know what? We're going to talk about it. We're going to get through. We got 3 more left total, by the way. All very important. So let's start with this one. According to multiple different sources within the Trump administration, Marco Rubio is lying to Donald Trump and, of course, the American public about what's actually happening in Cuba. Now, Marco Rubio, of course, is the son of Cuban immigrants. They fled the country, came to the United States. Rubio, for his entire professional career, has hated the Cuban regime. And honestly, understandable. Your parents fled it. There was horrible times. You've heard nothing but horrible things about it. So Rubio wants regime change in Cuba, and by God, he's going to get it one way or another. He is the one in Trump's ear all the time saying, we've got to overthrow their government. And of course, some of the sanctions that this administration has placed both on Cuba and other countries that could do business with Cuba are now squeezing the island more than ever, because that's always worked to the U.S.'s favor, right, with Cuba? That's basically been our policy for 70 years. And it hasn't worked. We haven't benefited. Cuba hasn't benefited. Basically, everybody gets screwed in the deal And this administration is like, well, we know it doesn't work, but let's do it more because Marco Rubio is saying, yeah. But here's the part that Rubio is allegedly lying about, according to 5 different officials within this administration. Rubio claims that they are currently engaged in diplomatic talks with Cuba, negotiations, trying to get everything worked out. These officials within the administration, and of course, officials in Cuba, say there are no talks. Cuban officials have said, we're open to talks. We want to have talks, but we're not currently having talks. But Rubio, according to these members of the administration, is telling Trump that, no, we're having the talks. So either Rubio is lying so that he can later pretend like, oh man, the talks fell apart. We have no choice but for regime change. So he has something to gain from lying, or members of the Trump administration and the Cuban officials are all lying about not having talks, because what do they have to gain from lying about that? Rubio has something to gain from lying. The other group doesn't. And that's typically how you can tell who the liar really is in a given situation. Rubio wants regime change. Rubio is pushing for regime change. This administration has already admitted, hey, we're pretty much open to it. We already did Venezuela. Why not Cuba? Why not Mexico? Why not Colombia, which appears to be Donald Trump's newest target, of course? Why not Canada? Why not Greenland? Why not Iran? Why not Nigeria? It's everywhere. But Rubio wants to make sure that Cuba is next. So, a lot of super chats coming through here. I'm a fan of what you do here. Just realize we agree most in goal, just different methods of getting there. Yeah, and I think I think that's a big issue with it too. Is we all want the same thing. We all just can have different ideas on how to get there. Paula Trigg says disagreeing should be done respectfully. Yes, it should, except with trolls. No respect for that. Propaganda is so strong, the Canadian Prime Minister increased Matt Leave, and Fox and Friends made millions hate him for it. Fox. Fox is one of those things, like, don't get me started on that. I really just, it's an outrage machine. That's what they do. They have nothing positive to talk about because nothing good ever happens from conservatives. So they have to go to this outrage. They have to make you hate something. In fact, tomorrow, I actually have a really good story coming up about that that I have scheduled, but it's an outrage. It's manufactured outrage is what Fox News does. And of course, also acting as a campaign arm for the entire Republican Party. So we got new information this week about the FBI raid on the Fulton County, Georgia election facility where the ballots were being held from the 2020 election. And it turns out, according to the FBI's affidavit, the lawyer who tipped off the FBI and who was then put in charge by Donald Trump of the entire thing, basically, was none other than Kurt Olson, one of Donald Trump's former personal lawyers who in 2020 spread the baseless conspiracy theories that the election was stolen and or tampered with in some way that resulted in Donald Trump not winning. Olson, of course, did not win a single one of those court cases, wasn't able to ever provide any real shred of evidence. So now he's the guy who convinced this administration that we needed to go seize all the ballots from Georgia. Let me read you this. Kurt Olson, attorney appointed by President Donald Trump, who worked with the president to undermine the 2020 presidential election results, was the person who made the referral for the FBI to investigate Fulton County, Georgia. According to the affidavits, Trump had instructed top American spy agencies to divulge sensitive information to Olson, his former campaign lawyer, about the 2020 election. Olson has continued to be a temporary government employee working with the White House. The new information discovered in the affidavit prompted reactions from a number of experts, including MS Now contributor Philip Bump, who says, so a Trump attorney that aided his 2020 campaign and wrote a memo encouraging Pence to skip counting electoral votes was given an election integrity job in this administration where he made a referral to investigate Fulton County. It rehashes debunked arguments about impropriety in order to establish a predicate for seizing election material on the basis that mistakes that occurred might have been intentional and therefore criminal. It's all transparently contrived. So basically, the guy who wrote the memo telling Mike Pence, like, hey, just don't count the Electoral College votes and then Trump stays forever, was working for the government. And then while a government employee, he's like, hey, FBI, how about you guys go investigate Fulton County, Georgia? Huh? Get those ballots for me. And the FBI, under Kash Patel's leadership, just said, all right, why not? We got nothing better to do. Let's just go do it. Let's just undermine the integrity of the entire electoral process here in the United States because Donald Trump wants to push a baseless conspiracy theory that even if we were able to prove had happened, would then apparently also mean that his new term that he's in now would be illegitimate. Do those idiots realize that? If somehow they were to provide all the evidence, prove us all wrong, and say, look, see, the election was stolen, Trump actually won. Great. He missed his other term, so his other election in 2024 is therefore unconstitutional. Pack your crap and get out. I mean, isn't that what that would mean? Because can only be elected twice is the language in the Constitution. And you're trying to prove that he has been elected twice, now a third time in 2024. So I don't know if you idiots ever think anything through, but you may want to take a step back real quick and think about what it is you're trying to do. Unless, of course, you all hate your jobs and want to lose them. You just don't want to quit. Then I totally get it. But yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Fabricio HQ says, hey, Farron, I appreciate you, but disagree with you where you said about a segment you did about spreading hope by saying 3 more years. That's why California governor said, I am a positive person. Am I wrong? The reason I didn't like the way the statement was said by the press office of Gavin Newsom, I believe it was their press office. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, it's because they said, deep breath in, we'll get through this. And that was just like 2 days after Alex Preddy was murdered. So it's not, okay, just calm down. We're going to get through it. Absolutely, people are not going to get through it. People are dying. Alex Preddy is never going to see who the next president is. Renee Good is never going to be able to go and vote again. They didn't make it. The other 9 people killed by ICE didn't make it. The people dying in the ICE detention facilities, it's not just, okay, we'll sit here for 3 years. What's on TV? People aren't making it. And I think that statement was really callous and just not smart, especially happening just a couple days after Preddy was killed on camera. So that's why I didn't like that statement they had put out. The Epstein files are a treasure trove. The entire admin is guilty. Yeah, Lutnick. The fact that that dude hasn't just resigned in disgrace shows you how little they care. I mean, calls for Lutnick to be removed are just going absolutely ape right now. And he's just like, no, I'm going to stay. I'm going to be this creep. So every meeting I go into now, I'm this creepy guy that everybody knows lied about the relationship with Epstein. And I'm just going to be like, whatever. What are you going to do? That's a level of arrogance that we have never, ever, ever seen in an administration. At least the Bush administration, with their corruption and the war crimes and the torture, at least they tried to keep it hidden. These folks wear it as if it's a badge of honor. Bertha Hudson says, I love your commentary. Keep doing what you do. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Whew. One more story that I'm going to save for tomorrow. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate all of the super chats today. We had fun. I got into a bit of a better mood at one point. So I do appreciate that. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Most importantly, share the content, not just our content, the content of all the other creators on the left. Help everybody, not just me. Don't just focus on like one or two. We're all in this together. Even if we don't seem like we are, all of us need to be able to continue doing this. We all provide, what I think is either good entertainment or a good service for everybody, informational, educational. So yeah, please help all independent leftist creators. One last super chat from Paula Trigg says, Mr. Troll was not respectful to you or us. Very true. And I look, I enjoy the chat. I really like everybody coming in with the comments. I like reading the comments. I like interacting with everybody. This is a space for us to have conversations. We can have disagreements, absolutely, all day, whatever. It's not a space for people to just come in and be dicks. Okay, we don't need that. I'm enough of a dick when I'm doing my regular segments anyway. We don't need more of it. So keep that crap out of here. Mods, you did a wonderful job today. And everybody take care. I promise to possibly be in a better mood tomorrow. Maybe we'll see. Until then, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. That's exactly what Jerry Springer used to say at the end of his show too, by the way. But he's gone. So I'm going to take that message. Take care of yourselves and each other. I think that's very important. I think it's a good message. Last super chat from the butt pot. The butt pot. Thank you. Says, keep up the good, important work. Thank you. And thank you for ending this on a laugh. I got to say the butt pot. Gargoyle Dragon says, sorry, Farron, but now that you said we're all in this together, I won't do that until you and them sing that song from High School Musical. I've never seen that. That is after my time. I think I was already out of college by the time that came out. So I don't know if that's a thing, then you guys are gonna have to sing that on your own. Thank you so much, folks. I will see you all tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central.